What's up, Marie?
Hello, Dr. John.
And hello to you. What's up?
Well, I wanted to talk to you and get some advice on how to address some frustration, really a major lack of attraction to my husband after trying a lot of things to just encourage him to change his habits.
Tell me about it.
Well, we've been together since we were 17, so almost 35 years now.
Whoa. 35 years?
Yeah.
Y'all met when you were 17, huh?
Yeah, high school sweethearts.
Gross. Did you watch Dawson's Creek? I love that. It's my favorite show.
Absolutely not.
Okay, whatever. All right, so you married your high school sweetheart?
Yes, I did, and
You'll have any kids?
we've been together. We do. We have a daughter. She's 25. We have a granddaughter as well.
Very cool. You're a grandma? Grandma Marie.
I am a grandma.
Okay, if you don't, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
52.
52. All right. So you're 52. You're looking across the living room at this guy you've been with for 35 years, a quarter of a century plus a decade, and you are thinking, I'm not attracted to him anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
How long have you been feeling that way?
Oh, I think this has probably been our biggest argument for the last 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, it's gone up and down. There's been better times. There's been some changes, and then things would just go back to the way they were.
So what's the conversation been like for 20 years?
Well, I work very hard to keep myself in good shape, and I feel that my husband doesn't do the same. He doesn't have the same effort into making himself look good. He treats me absolutely perfectly, but it's just such a disconnect with how he wants to take care of his body and how much that impacts my attraction to him.
Is he overweight?
He is. He is about 65, 70 pounds overweight.
Okay. So
There's
how long?
health concerns too.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
of course. Yeah, you're obviously worried. Getting into your 50s, worried about health. How long has he known that when you, if you were to roll over on a Saturday morning real early, and the light's coming through the curtain, and he's still asleep, and you look over at him, how long has he known that you don't think he's handsome, that you don't think he's attractive?
About 20 years.
Okay, that's hard.
Yeah.
He's not on the phone, and if he called and said, "Hey, man, my wife didn't find me attractive. I'm 65 pounds overweight. I've been struggling for a couple of decades," I'd have that conversation. He's not on the phone, so it's just you. Is there a part of you that I'm going to phrase this in an accusational way, okay? And I mean for it to be that way, but I want to put aside, I understand attraction, I understand weight gain, I understand all that stuff, okay? So you're not crazy and you're not weird and you're not a bad person, all that.
Okay.
But there is a sense of you feel better than him because you do all of this work and he doesn't do any of the work. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I feel like I've pushed myself to extreme limits, and I expect that from him as well.
How's that worked out for you for two decades?
It has worked sometimes. I've, implemented programs or given him workouts, or, I'm in charge of what he eats for the most part. And
so you're his mom.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And often in these dynamics, there ends up being a relational dynamic that he knows he can't win, or he knows. I've talked about it often on this show. My buddy Sal DiStefano from Mind Pump out of San Jose. Like, hey, John, if you go to the gym, this is a private conversation we had. If you go to the gym because you think you're gross, if you go to the gym every day to punish yourself for being overweight, for not having a six-pack, blah, 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 you can white-knuckle that and you'll crash every single time. If you wake up every day and say, I'm loved enough, I'm worth an hour so that I can think and feel and do and play all those things to the best of my ability, you'll do that for the rest of your life. And so my question for you is, you've known this guy since he was 17 years old. When he looks in the mirror, when he walks through life, he treats you amazing. The person he treats not well is himself. And he knows you don't like him. He knows you think you're better than him, that he didn't think he's good looking. Why does he think? Why does he struggle with who he sees in the mirror? Why does he not love himself? Let me hold on. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to imply that just because he's overweight, he doesn't love himself. Why has 20 years of you beating him over the head, giving him meal plans, giving him workouts, telling him this and that? Why hasn't that worked for him? There's something deeper for him.
Right.
What is it?
I have been praying and diving into things to wonder what that is for the better part of the 20 years. I'm not sure if it's my fault for beating him up for so much, or if he truly just doesn't see that he needs to change.
I mean, the old adage, people change when the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of change.
Right.
And hadn't crossed that threshold yet. I wouldn't blame you. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's healthy or worthwhile. What you've done hasn't worked. I think that's fair. I think you've tried to love him with all the tools you have in your toolkit. And I think it's important for those of us who are married to realize sometimes all we have is a hammer in our bag, and we just try to fix our partner with the hammer and end up causing some pain when we're trying to love them the best we can with what we got. So what's your next move? For 2 decades.
There's no giving up. There's no giving up. There's no, I don't want to be without him. So it's not so severe that that's the case. I just would love a change in, like you said, the rolling over on Saturday morning and having that desire for him to return.
If he lost 65 pounds, would that suddenly materialize?
I would hope so, but I can't be sure.
Tell me, do you have a loss of respect for him? Do you have a loss of?
Yeah, there is a loss of respect, just because I've done very much to keep myself in good shape. I did go through breast cancer a couple of years ago, and he's been great there and holding me up with that and changes in my body.
Okay,
and I desperately want to. He still loves me. He still looks at me like he did when we were 17. He still has major attraction for me, and that makes me jealous.
Yeah,
that I don't have that for him.
Have you told him that?
So many times.
Yeah. What's he say?
Sometimes he says, "I'm sorry, I'll change," and he works through some stuff. And other times he's just mad and tells me he'll do something and change and start to work out or whatever, and he just does nothing.
Yeah. Does he have friends in his life? Does he have some men that he's got community with?
No.
Do y'all as a couple hang out with other couple friends?
Not really, no.
No. How do you keep alive in your marriage? The cool thing about marrying your high school sweetheart is you're like solidly one, right? The hard part is there's an old Office episode about it. You know everything you've ever done, ever, always, and forever.
Yeah.
So you have to be really intentional about spontaneity and adventure and adding life and curiosity and spark. When's the last time y'all were intentional about that?
I don't remember. We love the same things. We enjoy the same activities. We pretty much always do the same thing. We, ride motorcycles, or we go camping or fishing or hunting together, and we enjoy those times together. But it's just normal stuff. There's no difference. There's no spontaneity. We forgot to have fun.
Yeah. And that's what I'm getting at. The attraction thing's real. It's very, very real. No question about that. Often, though, this conversation is somebody waking up and realizing I've been with the same person for 35 years. And I love that you have some ownership here. The life we have created is gray. It's slow. It's boring. It doesn't lack any spark. We haven't been intentional about setting things on fire just to watch them burn like we did when we were 17, 18, 19, 20. And here we are. And I'll just say this, men can be awfully like, yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, like, let's move aside him. What about your life feels not alive anymore?
A lot of it.
Tell me about it.
Well, going through breast cancer and fighting for your life.
By the way, not only fighting for your life, but fighting for your life when your own body's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
That's horrifying. It's different when somebody out in the world's trying to kill you, right? When your own body, that shakes the foundation that you walk on, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that when I was through all of this, that I would have more of a desire to keep going and to enjoy life.
Mm.
And for a short period of time, there was that, but everything just fell back to the normal before breast cancer. And even though it's different, nothing is the same.
And if I'm you, that's where I would start.
Okay.
And the scary thing is you get to choose what happens next. And the really extraordinary thing is you get to choose what happens next. But I think the exercise, and I think this is an exercise for all of us, those of us who have survived near-death encounters, like people like you, like Kelly, like who are cancer survivors, those who are married to somebody they're not attracted to anymore. They used to have just peel the wallpaper off sex with, and it was crazy and fun. And now we're 52 and just look at each other, watch the same shows. Deer season's coming up. Whatever the Chiefs are playing, like life just happens, right?
Yeah. And
you get to choose what happens next. And so I think the exercise is, what does alive look like? What does that mean? Here's some fun questions. What did I used to be into romantically, sexually, like that I'm just not into anymore? And what are some things? I'm 52. I'm 52. I'm on the back 9. What are some things I want to try? What are some things I'm into? What are some things I would want to go do? What are some concerts I want to go see? Where are some places I want to go? What does alive feel like? Because it's easy to focus on the dead part.
Mm-hmm.
The adventure and the scary stuff is, all right, what's it going to be? What's it going to take? Because my fear is your husband goes and loses 65 pounds. And you think in your body, just like you did when you got the all clear diagnostic, it's going to feel a certain way. And those feelings just roll back to baseline. It's what we do in spite of our feelings. Right? You don't feel like exercising all the time, but you go because you know that you have a goal down the road.
Right.
My guess is he's lost 20 pounds. You've made him meals and you've cooked him and you've given him workout plans and he's knocked off 20 pounds, 35 pounds. And everything kind of feels the same. You don't like him. You're lecturing him. His life is this. He's still dealing with X. He's dealing with Y. And it just kind of goes back to the way it was. So here's the only way I've seen this thing work. Number one, you have to open your hands up. You can't make him do anything. And that's heartbreaking and scary and all that. You can be very, very honest. And it sounds like you've done that over 20 years. At some point, you're going to have to open your hands and let that go.
Okay.
But I think that you don't let that go without a loving, direct, sitting across the table, holding his hands, looking him in the eyes and saying, you are my one and only, you're my ride or die. And for 20 years, I've tried to care more about your health and about your looks and about wanting to be super sexy, all those things, more than you, and it hasn't worked, and so I'm going to let that go. And I think then it's fair to say I do not want to do 60 and 70 and 80 and 90 years old without you. And that's the trajectory we are on. And by the way, I want to be a smoking, sexy 50-year-old and 60-year-old and still be one of those gross couples still hooking up all the time. And I want you there with me.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on.
Okay. Regardless of how those conversations go, because for him, it might feel like we've had this conversation 1,000 times over the last 20 years. The next layer is I want to inject some life into our world. What does that mean? The deer hunt season's coming up. It's football season. Here's what this means. This year, we are fill in the blank. And maybe this year, I am. I'm going dancing. I'm taking a dancing class. You're the guy I want to dance with. I will find a dance partner at dance class if you don't want to come with me. I want to learn to ride motorcycles. I want to, I don't know what stuff you're into.
Right.
But I want you to begin to wrestle with what does coming alive look like, and it's something you practice because you haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah. It's been survival.
Yeah. And I want you to be careful about blaming him for your sense of your internal, because it's easy. The light came back on, right? You got to peer over the edge and you're like, oh gosh, this life we have is fragile. It goes away in a second. And then you look at him and you're like, what are we doing? What are you doing? Right? It's easy to just start blaming. Let's take some ownership. All right, I'm going for full tilt. We only got one shot at this thing. And God, I love you and I hope you come with me. How does that resonate in your chest?
It definitely is hitting home. There's a lot of hard things in that.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more hard question before I let you go?
Yeah.
And again, this is because he's not on the phone.
Okay.
After 20 years of struggling with being attracted to the person you're with, after 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, sometimes we do things, say things, respond to text messages, meet people, become somebody that we never thought we'd become. Is that you?
No.
Okay. Are you still a person that you respect and honor?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that's a great place to start as you sit across the table from this man that you love and say, I respect and honor myself, and my dream for you is that you will love the man that you see in the mirror. And I can't be your mom, but I do want to be your girlfriend again. Would you go on a date with me? And the thing I want you to keep ever present is you both get to choose what happens next. There's 0 things y'all can change about what happened from this morning all the way back to when you were 17. But you can change everything that comes next. And the scary part is only you can change you and only he can change him. But let's open our hands. What we've tried to do for the last 20 years, meal plans and workout, this is deeper than that. It's deeper than that. That hasn't worked. Let's try something new. You're worth an amazing adventure of a life with the time you got left, and he is too. And if he wants to call me, I'd love, love, love to talk to him and give him as many tools as I got. Because I want him to have an amazing adventure with the time he's got left too.